Keyword research and title tag optimization is such a critical part of SEO. It's something we as SEOs are doing pretty much on a daily basis. So what we're trying to do here is just create something to streamline that workflow. You go to the page, you look what it's about, you look at some competitive pages, you find the right keywords to target, and you use that information to actually optimize your title tag, your description, your H1 tag. So all this is a very structured process, generally speaking, that is perfect for the use of an AI agent. With that in mind, here's how the tool is going to work, is that you're going to input a parent target, a page target. In this example, I'm using this Bankrate page. I'm not affiliated with Bankrate in any capacity. I just pulled this page to use as an example. They're not a client of mine or anything like that. And a target topic. So we're pretty much saying we want to make optimizations for this page, and this is kind of a target topic. It doesn't have to be the keyword optimized topic. It just needs to be the kind of thing that you would search for and expect to find your page. If you do have the actual head keyword for the page, go ahead and use that. But again, it's not 100% necessary. The expected output is this table right here. You have the target page, which is the page we were just looking at, the keyword targets. So this actually includes each keyword target, the search volume for the keyword target, and it includes the top several, the optimized title tag, the keyword optimized title tag, the keyword optimized description, and the reasoning behind the title and description optimization. So it actually explains the type of optimizations it's using. You also see here you get a table with the competitors that were used to actually find the keyword targets. So how this tool actually works, and this is what we're going to be building from the ground up here, is that you start with a chat input. The chat input there, which you can see right here, that is representative of a user messaging the agent. So you could put this here as an example. We'll walk through that a little bit. Or you could actually message the agent in this kind of a playground right here. That said, you make that message and a few different things happen. We have the Firecrawl API, which actually scrapes the main content of the page to get the context about what the page is about. And then we have the Serper API, which gets the search results for the target topic you inputted. So you get there, you get the search results. That's going to give you your competitive set, and you get the content for the main content of the client page or your landing page, whatever it is. From there, the competitive pages are passed into the data for SEO API, which actually gets us the keyword targets for all those competitive pages. And lastly, an agent is used to pull all that information together and provide those final optimizations. During this tutorial, I will be using the Langflow software to actually create the AI workflows. In addition, I'm using DataStax. This is actually a free platform that you could go ahead and create your own account on. I don't know if it's going to be free forever. They might change that in the future. Langflow, the actual platform that we're building on, is open source, so there's a lot of different ways that you can actually deploy it and utilize it. But for this tutorial, I am using DataStax. Again, that might change in the future. I will link in the description this platform right here, as well as a few other options that you could utilize. One other thing to note before you jump into things is that if you want to just go ahead and test out this workflow, you don't want to go through the effort of actually building this all out, there is a very easy way to actually just go ahead and upload what I've already created for you and start testing it yourself. So in the description below, I have linked a file that you could download. And what will happen is that you could come in and click this upload a flow button here, choose the file I have provided in the link below, and it will actually just create the entire workflow for you. That will include everything we're going to create in this video. You could open it up and just go ahead and start making adjustments. From there, all you're going to need to do is add in your API keys, and you should be able to go ahead and start testing the tool immediately. One final thing to note here is that if you would rather just test this tool out immediately before investing any time in it, you can actually come to this website. I'll link it in the description, and you could go ahead and run some tests to test the input and output to see if it's something that you actually want to invest your time in building out your own solution. This website will provide you with some free tokens, so it won't cost you anything to run some tests. All you need to do is put in the page target and the target topic that you want to use, hit run job, and then the job will start. You could click into here to see the status, and once it's done, you'll click on view result and it will show you the final result. There's a few things I like to do at the beginning of any project. Number one, I'll come in here and give this project a name. Let's call it meta and keyword optimization agent. And number two, I like using this little note option, which you can see in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen when you're in the Langflow platform, to add in some notes about what I am going to be creating. So I've already gone ahead and created those notes. Add this right here, and then this will allow me to kind of have my guided way of building the workflow. It's definitely worthwhile to plan these things out before you jump into things. Plan, what needs to exist, what kind of prompts do you need, what kind of tools, agents. It makes everything a lot easier if you have that kind of upfront planning before you jump into things. So first steps here is that I'll add my chat input and chat output. What these actually are indicative of is the normal communication you would expect when using an AI chatbot. You message it something, you get something back. What we're going to be creating is all the things that are going to happen after that initial message to actually create the output. So that's where this becomes an agent, right? It has all this different technology within it to actually process your initial message, figure out the right path forward to come out with the desired output. Once we have our chat input and output, we'll take a look at this and we see our first two steps are to create two separate agents. The first is a content summarization agent. Apologies, I actually did not update this before I made it. So this should be create agent for scraping main content. So that's going to be our first agent. And the second is going to be to actually get the Google search results. So we're going to need a few different items here. First off, we're going to need the Firecrawl scrape API. We're actually going to have to make a few customizations to this. It will require some code adjustments, but I'm going to supply that for you. So you'll just have to copy and paste what I supply for you. Shouldn't be too difficult there. The second will be the Serper API. So these will all come out of the box with Langflow. They're already built for you. Very, very handy for building a lot of different tools, right? One of the Firecrawl tool is geared towards scraping a page, trying to extract just the main content and converting it to Markdown, which is more friendly for AI. And then Serper is to actually extract search results. And then obviously there's a lot of important things you could do from an SEO standpoint once you actually have the Google search results there. From there, we need a prompt for the Firecrawl job. And then we'll also need a prompt for the Serper. So I'll make two different prompts. That one will go with the Google Serper, and this one up here will go with the Firecrawl scrape. And from there, we need a few agent nodes. Nodes are what these are considered. They're called like one node, each of these kind of blocks or components, whatever you want to call them. So we have one agent and two agents. And last thing I'll do here is I'll create some connections. This prompt, what we're actually going to use it for is the agent instructions. This is similar to a system prompt. A system prompt or an agent instructions, whatever you want to call it, is general instructions for the agent or chatbot to follow, right? You have your input, which is the actual message. It's what the user is messaging the chatbot. The instructions are giving it kind of context on what it needs to be doing. From there, we'll put the message into the input. So again, that's just like a user sending a message to a chatbot. So it's accepting that as the input. And we'll define the tool. So I have to make the adjustment to the Firecrawl tool, but this tool, the Serper API tool, already comes out of the box as a tool. I know I keep saying the word tool, but we look at Fire Scrape API and you see it doesn't actually have tool available to us. So a tool is a special kind of thing that an agent has access to, which actually allows it to kind of utilize that during its reasoning process. So you give it some instructions and it knows it has access to this functionality and it actually uses that functionality as needed to accomplish the job. And it needs to be in this special format, which is a quote unquote tool, to actually make that all work. So what we're gonna have to do here is just make some slight code adjustments. And again, I will supply you with this code, so don't worry too much about what it all is. Supply it to you, you have to just copy and paste it in, hit check and save, and you'll see the tool now appears right there, and we could go ahead and tie that to the tool of our agent. The next step here is that we're going to actually add in our prompts. So I could create an entirely separate video about creating prompts and all the prompt engineering best practices. But for the sake of this video, what I'm really just trying to accomplish is walking through how to build this workflow. So I've already gone ahead and created the prompts that we're going to utilize for this. So we'll come in and we'll drop these in. You'll see, you're an expert at content scraping. You should identify the target URL and then scrape the target URL. And then the output should be in this format right here, which is kind of a bracket start target URL markdown, insert the target URL in markdown format, and then end. So that is the first prompt. The second prompt for the Serper API will be right here. So similar, use the Google Serper API. So that's telling the agent to use that tool to get the results for the target topic. So what it's saying is when the user inputs that target topic, we use the Google Serper API to get the search results. We let the AI agent know to expect this format, so to expect a page target and a target topic, but only get the SERP results for the target topic, meaning don't try to use the page target as a keyword. Just use that kind of query target there to get the search results. So there's a few different instructions right there, pretty much outlining what I just mentioned. And then the result that we ask the AI to provide us with is the start search results, end search results, and then insert the SERP URLs, title tags, and descriptions. The last thing we'll do before we're ready to test the existing functionality we've set up is that we need to add in our API keys. So I've saved my API keys as variables. How you actually do that is you can click on this in here. If I zoom in, you'll see you can click right here and add new variable. You could give it a variable name. If it's a credential, meaning like a password or an API key, use credential, add in the value. If it's a username or something like that, you could use generic, and then that will be stored. So you could very easily, use these in different flows. You could use them in different nodes or components, whatever you want to call them. So we have the Firecrawl API key, Serper API key, OpenAI API key, and OpenAI API key. The last thing I'm going to do here is adjust the models. So I am going to use 4.0, which is the more advanced model from OpenAI, in the main content scrape, and I'm going to use 4.0 mini for the SERP export. The reason I'm going to use those two is just because 4.0 mini is a little bit faster, but it might make some mistakes. 4.0 is a little bit more reliable. So this is okay if there is a small mistake. It's just getting the results from the search result, but it's critically important that we get the exact main content from the page. So what we're really doing here is saying, okay, let's just go ahead and use the faster, cheaper version of ChatGPT to just pull the Google search results, and let's use the more advanced version to ensure we get the exact main content of the page that we need for the actual optimizations. At this stage, I like to start testing what I have so far just to ensure everything works and troubleshoot any kind of issues I might have. To do that, you could just go ahead and hit this play button, and that will actually run what you have thus far to see what happens. So you can actually see that this already ran. You see 1.81 seconds, and you can hit this response and see what happened. It seems like the URL you want me to scrape is missing, so we already have a problem. What's our problem? I forgot to put it in the input text. So what I actually need to do is just come in here and type what I would hypothetically type if I was a user inputting information into this chatbot. So we could use this format. I think what we actually told the AI model this would look like is this. So I'll just go ahead and use the exact format. If there is slight variations in what you input versus what you tell the AI models, generally speaking, it'll still work, but it's best to match it the best you can just to avoid any potential issues. So now that we add that in, let's again come in here, press play, and hopefully that resolves all of our issues. Okay, that's actually done. So you can see right here it took 35 and some change seconds to run. You can open up the response and look at what we have here. So what we should expect to see at least is the content for this bank rate page And just for the sake of showing it in this demonstration, we could just open it up and look at it. And you can see what are the differences to invest in, our riders, yada, yada, yada. And you see the same things. It starts with our riders are in-house, our riders are in-house. So it does in fact pull in the main content of that page, which is what we're looking for. And then I'll go ahead and run a second test on the Google Serper API agent that we created. Hit the play button right there and give it a minute to run. And there we go. That one's very fast because it doesn't have to deal with scraping pages or anything like that. And we also use 4.0 mini, which is a little bit faster. And we see search results. Oops. We see search results, title, URL, description, exactly what we asked for. So that is good to go as well. The next step is actually to create a custom tool, a completely custom tool. Again, I'm going to provide the code for this. It will be linked into the description. So it might look a little intimidating, but all you have to do is copy paste. And how we'll do that is we'll click new custom component down here in the menu, and I'll go and copy the code that will actually build out this new custom component. What this is actually going to be for is getting the keyword data for the competitive pages. So we see the custom component now, and we see the data for SEO username, data for SEO password. I've already created variables for this, so I could just go in here and use them. But like I mentioned before, you could create your own variables. You could also just type in your username and password right here if you want. It's really up to you. Generally speaking, it's best to create the variables just because it stores them, number one. Number two, you could create videos like this without people seeing your information. And number three, you could use it between different flows. So if you create something new in the future that is completely separate of this, you already have that stored. You don't have to worry about going and finding your API keys and whatnot. So we'll create that custom component, and again, what this is going to do is it's going to take the URL and get the top rankings for that page. And we'll create a prompt and an agent as well. So we'll come in here, grab a prompt, and we'll create an agent. Very, very similar pattern, right? Prompt, tool, agent, prompt, tool, agent. You know, you're gonna kind of follow that pattern quite a bit when creating these. So the prompt, we're gonna hook into the input here and the tool. We'll go into tools, and I will supply the prompt itself. And this is something new that you haven't actually seen up until this point in the video, but you'll see this prompt variable. And what that actually is we're going to programmatically input the search results into this location right here. What we can also do is we could also just use this as instructions as the system, and then just pass the information right into the input. But this is a different way of doing something similar, right? So at this point, we could link this right here. And just for the sake of explaining what I mean, is that what we could do theoretically is that we could just take the instructions, remove this, save it, now use this as agent instructions, and then pipe the result right into here. But again, you know, I'm not going that path. I'm going the path of using that dynamic variable and inputting the information from there. I'm sorry, my computer's glitching a little bit. There we go. So you have this information, plug in the SERP data, so that is going to insert the output from the last part of the flow into that area right there, into this SERP data. You could call this whatever you want. You could call this, you know, Jason, my name, if we wanted to, and then you'd have the variable Jason. But that doesn't make a ton of sense, so we're going to name it something that makes a little bit more sense, like SERP result. So plug in the SERP result, and we'll plug that into the input. At this point, we're all ready to test out the flow once again. So I'll go ahead and hit play on this agent right here and let everything run up into this point to just verify that the output of what we have so far provides me with the keyword targets for the individual pages. And that just finished running. You can see it took about 12 seconds to run there. We can open this up and This is kind of hard to see because of the format, but it has the individual URLs and the keyword targets. Moving forward, we're going to actually create 2 more prompts and a chat input, or actually forget what they call this one, just a model. So this is a little different than an agent. The agent has the option to actually utilize tools. This right here is just a more basic, you provide it with a system message, you provide it with an input, it gives you the output. There's no option to utilize tools or anything like that. This is more just traditional chatting with ChatGPT. So what we're going to do here, and this is because we're not actually using any tools for this, so it's not actually required. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have one that's a system prompt and the other that's the input. And again, I've already created everything for us. So here's what we'll use for the input, which will give us the user's initial message, the message that started the entire flow, the keyword targets that came out of the data for SEO workflow that we were just reviewing, and the current page content that comes from the other flow that we created at the beginning that scrapes the main content of the page and provides that content in Markdown. So we have those 3 inputs. We could clean this up a little bit, maybe move this up here, and then this, once complete, will go to our output. And we could start making some updates. So we could go, this is going to the keyword targets. This right here is going to the content outline. And this right here is going to the user message. So again, user inputs message, that gets sent all the way over here. So the AI is aware, what did the user ask for that started this entire flow. We also give the context of this content. It really should be something more like main content. We could call this, rather than content outline, we could call this main content page or something like that. Makes a little bit more sense. So we have main content of page, which we have this sync back up. And lastly, we have the keyword targets that were from this flow down here, from when we gathered the search results, got the keyword targets for the pages, and are passing that into the prompt here. Lastly, we need our system prompt, so that's actually going to supply information about what we want the AI to be doing. There's quite a bit of information here, but it gives it the step-by-step outline for what we want it to accomplish. So we see create a markdown table with SEO optimized and compelling metadata for the article. That's this down here. Populate target page column. So it's telling you to actually populate that first column and letting you know how to go about doing it. Populate the target keywords column. So similarly, we have the target keywords column in the markdown table. And it's providing details about how to go about updating that column, creating the title tag. And we actually see that this notes use the best practices, or where is it? Use the best practices noted. We have this entire additional section that outlines some key title tag optimizations. These are pretty subjective. So if you think like, oh, there's a certain way I like optimizing my title tags, this is how you would make that adjustment. This is how you would tell it exactly what you want it to do when considering title tag optimizations. We have some notes on making the description and the reasoning behind the 2 tags. And lastly, I'll just adjust this to 4. That's a pretty complex process that we're asking it to do. We want it to have a more powerful model. And with that, we've completed the entire flow. You start with the chat input, or actually, while I explain this, let's just start it. So it'll be ready by the time I'm done talking. So we'll have the chat input. From there, we branch off into 2 different paths. The first of which scrapes the main content of our target page. It identifies that page and scrapes it, and it returns solely the main content of that target page. Secondarily, we take that target topic and we search it in Google. From there, we locate the target competitive pages and use those pages to actually get the keyword targets from the Data for SEO API. Once we have the main content and the keyword targets, we pass that into this additional prompt, which takes that information and actually generates our recommended optimizations, which we now have. And we see the target page, the keyword targets, our optimized title tag, description, and reasoning behind it.